Since 2018, decluttering and living with less has completely transformed our lives. Less stress, more freedom, more money, more fun. Today, I'm sharing a new strategy for decluttering that could get you closer to the home and peace of mind that you deserve. If decluttering has been on your heart lately and you're looking for a strategy that is manageable, motivating, and won't take over your life, then this video is for you. The strategy I'm sharing today actually came from a challenge I did here this year in 2025 that I ended up really loving. After 7 years of practice, I've become pretty good at decluttering and maintaining an organized house. However, there are still lots of other areas of life where I'm still struggling or learning and just sort of trying to figure it out. And at the moment, one of those things is trying to figure out how to continue to move my body and stay physically active, sort of in like the second half of my life. I'm 43 right now, but up until recently, I've been in the same sort of mindset I was in my 20s and 30s. And I was trying to keep up with the same workouts and the same level of workouts I was doing in my 20s and 30s, which I was only able to do for a short period of time now. And then I would end up burning out and not being able to do anything for an entire month. And I would feel so guilty for not sticking to this like precise, rigid routine. These times of hardcore workouts and then nothingness it just wasn't working for me anymore. So I decided I want to work out on average 3 days a week. That's it. No other specifics other than I wanted 3 times a week to like kind of get my heart rate up. And I started to reframe this in my mind. Like, okay, life was going to happen. There were going to be interruptions. There was going to be challenges. There were going to be times where I couldn't keep up, but it didn't matter because the goal was not 30 days. The goal was ideally 40 years or as long as I can. So I created this tracker where my goal was 150 workouts over an entire year. So approximately 3 workouts a week. I was inspired by a local gym owner in our area. And what I loved about it is that it allowed for like these real life interruptions. If I got sick or I hurt my leg or we went on vacation, not a big deal. The goal wasn't 90 days. The goal was 150 workouts the entire year. And I think this is such a great comparison to decluttering and how we often think about decluttering. We often think it needs to be this like massive purge or this huge project we do on a Saturday or spend the entire weekend doing. And like it doesn't count if it's not this huge win or our trunk's entirely full of things that are outgoing. And then we end up feeling guilty because after that 2 months pass and the house is chaos again and we haven't got rid of a single thing in those 60 days. But in my experience, slow and steady and consistent is going to get you there way faster and without that feeling of panic and overwhelm. And then more importantly, any feelings like we're feeling behind or failing in some way, because that is not the case and you're probably already doing way better than you think you are. So if I wanted to declutter my house in 2026, I would start by focusing on and tracking my progress for the entire year. So the emphasis is on the long-term success, not just small bursts of decluttering followed by tons of incoming with 0 outgoing. And if you're thinking, Marian, I do not have time for this. This sounds like the absolute worst. It doesn't have to be fussy. It doesn't have to be a big deal. And I have 4 tips to make it doable for basically anyone. Similar to this challenge, our family did the 1,000 hours outside challenge a few years ago now, which I love the entire concept of it and it was so fun and it was a great experience. However, they suggest tracking for like the weakest link in your family. So the person who is most likely getting the least amount of hours outside. And at the time, that was Amy Rose, our youngest, who I think was probably 4 years old at the time, which thinking back was way too aggressive of a goal for us. She was in school full time, which meant I really only had control of certain hours of her day. And during the winter months, majority of that time it was dark out. So this put a damper on the challenge right from the start because I quickly realized there was no way we were gonna be successful. Tip number 1 is to make your goal simple and manageable. Nothing messes with our confidence more than feeling like you're way behind right from the start. For my workouts in this year's challenge, for example, my only parameter for to be considered a workout was it had to be 20 minutes or longer. So sometimes that would be like a 40-minute HIIT workout or a 35-minute run and it'd be super intense. I'd be sweating, I'd feel amazing. But then other times, especially in like the really dark, sick months of winter, at that time, just going out for a 20-minute walk, that was a win for me. That I counted as a workout. So for your tracker, counting one square might mean one thing you declutter, or one square might mean one box, or one bag worth of stuff, or it could be that one square equal 10 minutes focused on decluttering. Come up with your own rules, make it work for you. Maybe you're actually moving in July, so maybe your goal is to fill in the entire tracker by the end of June. Whatever is gonna keep you going. One of the things I struggle with my workouts and keep continuing to move was that I'm doing it all on my own, which left me feeling pretty lonely and oftentimes just kind of bored with my workouts. So about halfway through the year, I realized, okay, I need company or I need some accountability here. So one thing I did was I started just having a walking buddy. So whenever humanly possible, I would go for walks with friends or with Scott or whoever I could get to come with me. And also in the summer, I signed up for a summer workout challenge. She gave us workouts to do. There was a ton of interaction between all the different participants, which just made it fun and it changed things up and it made me feel like I was not the only one on the entire planet working out alone in the basement. So if you are decluttering alone, you could do a bunch of things. You could ask a friend to come over. You could ask your super organized family member to help. You could do this challenge with somebody else who you know might be on the same journey. You could hire help, even if it's just for a day. You could watch more videos just like this and comment and see other people's comments and become sort of part of the community. You could message me directly with your progress or what you're working on. I love seeing what you're up to. Whatever you need to do to feel less alone. Because I promise you, you are not alone. Thirdly, the reason I used this tracker was because I had one already really similar that I had used for decluttering, I think at one point. And I used Canva where I made it. I use that program pretty much every day for work. So it was very easy for me, but you don't need to do this. If the thought of printing out this tracker or making a tracker sounds like an absolute nightmare, don't bother. Use whatever kind of tracker works for you. I will link this one in the description box below if you want to use it, but you can also make one in the notes. You could just track it in the notes in your phone. You can track it on your calendar that lives on the wall. You could track it in your agenda. You could track it on a scrap piece of paper, whatever works for you. Choose the path of least resistance. I also suggest putting the tracker in a spot that makes sense for your brain and for your lifestyle. I put mine in my bedroom beside my closet because I knew pretty much after every workout I'd be coming upstairs to change my clothes. But maybe you want it on your fridge or in your kitchen somewhere. Or if you have a decluttering station where you kind of keep all of your outgoing items, you could put it right beside that, or just in your storage room if that's maybe the area you're working on to start. Okay, final tip of the day to make this manageable for everybody. In the first 6 weeks of my 2025 workout challenge, we all got sick in the same month, one right after the other. And my cold in particular, it felt like it took forever to get over it. So I think there was probably a 3-week period where I maybe worked out twice, maybe. But every time I had one of these slowdowns or something hold me back, I remember the goal is long term, which is my last tip, just to focus and remind yourself it is long term. That is the whole idea here. Unless you need to be out of your house in the next 30 days, the focus is having a simple clutter-free home for life, not just for 10 days. So when you haven't decluttered anything for 30 days because your mom was in the hospital and then it was Christmas and you got a new job, who cares? It doesn't matter because you still have the rest of the year to focus on decluttering and catch up in other ways. Or if you're like Marianne, I love digging in and doing a huge declutter once a month. That's how I like to do it. Amazing. Then do that 75% of your month, just do it all in one day if that works for you. Just remember, we want to end the year with success. The goal is the end of the year progress. I'm recording this video in November and I actually reached my goal of 150 workouts last month. So I finished over 2 months early using this tracker. And even in those tough months where I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally don't remember the last time I worked out, didn't matter. It didn't matter because I knew I had time to catch up and that by the end of the year, it would all come out in the wash, which is exactly what happened. Which I feel like is a good motto, not just for working out, not just for decluttering, but life in general. We're gonna have obstacles, we're gonna have annoying things get in our way and slow us down. But I am here cheering you on. I hope this idea gives you some motivation to how you're gonna tackle clutter in your home this year, because we all deserve spaces that feel like this perfect mix of exciting and peaceful. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Bye guys.